Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone. Start with item C, swearing in a firefighter, Jared Denman. Please come up to the front.
Child in? Put your child up there in the hole?
Yeah, it is.
We own that one.
If we can,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how she's
You can
gonna.
try.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
She's
No,
a
you
wild
kidding
one.
me?
She's a
She's a
wild
wild
one.
card. She's very independent. When she wants to be.
Oh, hi. You gonna join us, honey?
You come up here?
Sabina.
You come up here? Yeah, he's up here.
Hi.
Hey!
Come on, sweetie.
She's like 21 months old.
12.
Something. There you go.
There you go. There you go. Hi. Hi. How are you? Yeah, I am too. Okay, we'll go quick, okay? All right? You understand what you're volunteering for?
I do.
People usually run from fire. You're gonna run towards it, right?
Yes.
You're gonna run towards accidents to help put people back together. You're gonna listen to chief and assistant chief, and those guys are good, they know what they're doing. You know? So keep your chin up and your head down and listen to me just fine.
Yes, sir.
Lots of things I wanna do on things I don't wanna do. Zero lat call service, can do this and do.
Yes, sir.
Right? Right. He will text you after emergency on his way back when everybody's safe. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Raise your hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jared Denman,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Ohio
and the state of Ohio
and the charter, ordinances, and resolutions
and the charter, ordinances, and resolutions
of the city of Napoleon, Ohio,
of the city of Napoleon, Ohio,
and the laws of the state of Ohio,
and the laws of the state of Ohio,
and faithfully discharge and perform
and faithfully discharge and perform
all duties that come upon me
all duties incumbent upon me
as a firefighter paramedic,
as a firefighter paramedic,
to which I've been appointed
to which I have been appointed,
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm just gonna switch on, so.
Did everybody get pictures? I want pictures. Are we good? Did you get pictures? You good? Okay. You tell us a little about yourself.
Sure. Oh my. I'll do the bridge version. So, my wife and I just moved here from Cleveland. Moved there in October, and well, I'm a veteran of the U.S. Navy. Did 6 years there. That's how I got into this whole gig.
Okay.
Got out of it for a few years and realized I missed it.
That's right.
Got back into it, and then was working as a medic. Honestly, this really is kind of a little bit of a fulfillment of a dream. You know, I was looking to get on a fire service and was working at privates up there in emergency departments there in Cleveland. And you know, I decided I wanted to kind of challenge myself in the nursing school, but still kind of felt that I had that passion or that drive to be an EMS. So
Right.
we relocated, and the job came up, and my wife actually was a great support. She's like, you know this is what you want to do. She's like, you know this is what you want to do, go for it. And I did, and here we are, and it really is. It's
Awesome.
very excited.
Awesome.
And I can promise the people of Napoleon, whoever we serve, and my brothers in the department that I'll give 110% every day. So, thank you.
Will you come this way to shake some hands real quick?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Maybe.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good. Okay, normally this is when we let everyone leave that is with the family. Hey, Chief, hold on 1 second. Mayor has one more thing before you guys leave.
We understand somebody has a birthday tomorrow, so we're gonna sing happy birthday. Everybody ready? We turn the mics off. We don't want to hear this. Jeez.
Well, where's the cake with the candles? We need fire extinguishers.
That's right. That's why we're safety first. We're keeping the cake off. So everybody ready? It's for Betty.
87.
87.
And I'm still only 4'10".
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Betty. Happy birthday to you. Yay.
That means I get a $10 raise.
Right, yes, yep. He's got to sign this.
With no R, right? Like that, okay.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on to item D, approval of minutes. Minutes from the June 3rd, 2019 Special Council Committee minutes. Also June 3rd, 2019 regular council meeting, and June 13th, 2019 special council meeting. Hearing no objections or corrections, the minutes shall stand approved. Item E, citizens communication. Seeing none. Move on to item F, reports from council committees. Electric Committee accepted a BOPA recommendation to approve June 2019 PSCA 3-month average factor 0.02051 and JV2 0.025436. Also recommended council direct the law director to draft legislation opposing House Bill 6. And also recommend council approve option number 2 for short-term financing for the new pool. Water and Sewer, Refuse, Recycling, and Litter Committee.
C, we also recommended council direct the law director to draft legislation opposing House Bill 163. Heard an update on the wastewater treatment plant sludge management process.
Thank you. And Municipal Properties, Building, Land Use, and Economic Development Committee also met. Lori?
Thank you, Council President. We are recommending to Council to approve restricting the NORA on Friday, June 28th for the Rib Fest, and also approved the Eagle Scout project for Alex Burkhold.
Thank you. And Parks and Rec Committee was canceled due to lack of agenda items. Moving on to item H, introduction of new ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 039-19, an ordinance supplementing the annual appropriation measure supplement number 3 for the year 2019 and declaring an emergency. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Ken?
This was, as we talked about in the last meeting, an adjustment outside our normal quarterly adjustments that we needed in order to get our books to align with the grant paperwork and the grant for their fiscal year end, which is June 30th. So we would need to do an adjustment, is money in, money out, but we do need to do a budget adjustment in order to get that to match what the state paperwork would say.
Okay. And you're requesting suspension as well?
Correct, yes.
Any questions or comments regarding this? Could I have a motion for suspension?
So moved.
Second. Okay, Rox, please call the roll on suspension.
Joe?
Yes.
Jeff M?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff C?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And Rox, please call the roll on the ordinance.
Joe?
Yes.
Jeff M?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff C?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, that is passed on first read under suspension. Moving on to item H2, resolution number 040-19, a resolution authorizing the finance director to transfer certain fund balances, transfer number 2 from respective funds to other funds per section 5705.14 ORC on an as-needed basis in fiscal year 2019, listed in Exhibit A, and declaring an emergency. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ken?
Again, this is for, in order to get that grant paperwork in our books to match that. We need this, and I don't know if Chris has any more information on it. She's kind of dealt with some of that.
We're transferring $1,500 from other to personnel services, and that takes council's approval to match the grant.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion for suspension.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll on suspension.
Joe?
Yes.
Jeff M?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff C?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, Rox, please call the roll on the resolution.
Joe?
Yes.
Jeff M?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff C?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, that is passed on first read under suspension. Okay, moving on to item H3, resolution number 041-19, a resolution strongly opposing the State of Ohio House Bill 6, replacing the Ohio Renewable Portfolio Standard and creating the Ohio Clean Air Program and declaring an emergency. Could I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Joel?
Thank you.
Billy?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. As you know, AMP took a contingent down to the State House to for a legislative rally for one day, legislative day, one day, and explaining and talking to all of our legislators opposing House Bill 6 and House Bill 163. Both House Bill 6 essentially it's been deemed as the nuclear bailout bill. And essentially what it does is it creates a clean air program by which it imposes a new monthly charge paid by the investor-owned utility customers, so not our customers, but investor-owned utility customers, to pay into this program to help keep the 2 nuclear plants in Ohio in operation. In addition to that, as this bill evolved into what it is today, it eliminated the renewable portfolio standards, and that's where it affects us the most.
It eliminates the renewable portfolio standard, which in turn diminishes the value of the renewable energy credits to zero, which we rely on as part of our rates that we have invested in some of the renewable resources that we have. That includes the hydro plants, all 6 of them. One of them is paid off, the NIPA, and the solar field. We get renewable energy credits from that, and the wind turbines. We get renewable energy credits for those. So essentially, those would go away and be diminished to zero. And I know the City of Bowling Green. We haven't run a calculation internally on this, but City of Bowling Green, this affects them by somewhere in the range of $400,000 a year. It also affects, I did check with the City of Hamilton, Ohio, which is a much larger community, a population of 60,000 people, to over $1 million, about $1.2 million. And but they're much more heavily invested in the hydro plants. But essentially, it's about almost $4 a month rate increase for them. So that's the impact for Hamilton. But again, they're a little bit more invested. Our portfolio right now is about 26% renewables. If I were to ballpark where we're at and how it would affect us, it'd be somewhere in the tune of between $175,000 and $225,000 is how we'd be affected by it. What that would mean for rates, I don't think it would be as high as it's $3 a month per resident, but it'd be I would say it'd be noticeable. But the intent of this bill was to be the way for the nuclear plants to be able to stay open and not have to close. And there are a lot of jobs tied to it, but they added in some things that really that affect us that really don't need to be in there to begin with. So we lobbied for that. We did talk with Senator Rob McCauley when we were down there. And he agreed that this essentially was exactly what it is a nuclear bailout bill, especially in light of the fact that they added in the piece for the Ohio Valley Electric Corporation, which is OVAC, which is the coal plants in southern Ohio. And what they have is they have a rate mechanism in place to, I don't want to say the word subsidize, but essentially help offset some of their costs associated with operating those plants, and they've extended those from 2022 to 2030 as a part of this bill. So they added coal plants as a part of this bill, which is contrary to what a clean air program is. So there's a couple other little parts of this that we can talk about. I don't know how much more detail you want to get into, but at this point, there's no benefit to the City of Napoleon ratepayers to have this bill pass, and it negatively impacts their rates. So if you got any questions, I try to answer them as best I can, but if we want, we can go through the bill and kind of go through each of the sections that pertain to how it affects us, but I'll leave that up to council's decision.
Thank you. Appreciate
That
the
capture.
That was very good, very well said.
appreciate the detailed explanation. And on top of that, it's nice to know, how much yourself and the rest of the electric department and the rest of the city employees look out for the things that are happening with our electric rates. Most of the things that are increasing the electric rates right now have nothing to do with the City of Napoleon. It's things that are passed down to us, and appreciate you and the rest of the team looking out for our residents so they don't have to pay as much.
Thanks.
And we look for suspension as well. Could we have a motion for suspension?
So move. Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll on suspension.
Joe?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeffy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Have any other questions or comments? Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Jeff M?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff C?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes. Okay, that resolution is passed on first read under suspension. Moving on to item H4, is resolution number 042-19, a resolution strongly opposing the State of Ohio House Bill 163 regarding municipal water and sewer practices and declaring an emergency. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Joel?
Thank you, Council President. Give me a moment. I'll pull the legislation up on the screen as I get through this long House Bill 6. There it is. Okay, so House Bill 163 is a recreation of a bill that was introduced last year, referred to as the discriminatory municipality bill, where and I think that originated as it was sort of not an attack, but a way to try to go after the Columbus utility, because Columbus has a long-standing practice of, if you wanted to get water from the city of Columbus, you have to annex. So they and then they so this is a recreation of that. But what this does is it penalizes communities, water systems, municipal water systems that charge a different rate than what for outside customers than for inside customers. So in other words, it negates the city's ability to negotiate rates for customers outside of the city limits. And it penalizes the city by saying if you charge a different rate outside of the city limits, the state will reduce your local government funds that you get. Essentially is what it does. But this, I went to the testimony on House Bill 163, and from communities that are in opposition to it. Akron was there, Cincinnati, a lot of the bigger communities were there, gave testimony. And to my surprise, a lot of the communities that are out there charge a 50% surcharge. We charge a 25% surcharge, and that's only added on to the wholesale rate that the satellite communities get from us. So, but this is also another attack on home rule. I think, Billy, you agree with that one. A lot of the communities also, I found in the testimony, use the exact same rate model that we use, which is the American Water Works Association M1 model. It's a pretty standard model for establishing rates. Also, this could really affect bond ratings, in that if we can't set rates and have established contracts that that bond rating agencies look at, they like rate stability and revenue stability, really, from the rating agencies. So that's a big deal for the bond ratings. And contrary to the goals of the EPA to be able to provide clean water, fresh water sources to other communities and try to get water to other communities, that this kind of discourages that growth. In a way, at least from cities, and would encourage the more pop-up water plants if that's what communities want to invest in. But I don't think that's what EPA is looking for. They're looking for more of a consolidated approach rather than have more smaller individualized water systems throughout the state. So. I guess that's enough. I don't know if anybody has any questions other than what I've described, but it's, again, another bill that's out there that's definitely not in the best interest of the city of Napoleon.
I would imagine this gets litigated pretty heavily as well. I don't know necessarily that Napoleon would be involved, but if this does pass, there are a number of municipalities, obviously, that provide water at an increased rate to outside municipalities, Napoleon being included in one of those. This bill would allow the provided to municipalities to bring suit against those municipalities, attempting to get a finding that the provider municipality is non-compliant. And that's going to bring about, I would imagine, quite a bit of litigation. So.
Joel, not to put you on the spot, but I will.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how much, what is the approximate amount, like, from the government that?
Local
City of
government
Napoleon
funds?
receive? Yeah.
And I don't know what it says in here on the reduction that we would get, if it's dollar for dollar, or if it's based on percentages or what, but what do we get for local government? I don't know that offhand, from specifically local government funds. I don't know if you know.
I can look
It's
at
a
that.
formula
Totally.
rate that we get
Get a
from
memo
them.
out and let you know what that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a dollar for dollar even
Okay.
exchange.
Okay.
But also, we did send letters out to Molina. I sent letters out to Molina, Liberty Center, and Village of Florida. And the offer is still on the table for if they want to enter into a new contract with a 0% surcharge that's out there. Just want to make sure that it's a reminder that that's still out there. I know there's been a lot of talk about water systems and which direction everybody's going in, but that is still out there and on the table. I haven't gotten anything back from any of the communities, but it's alive and well.
Do you have any other questions or comments? And we're requesting suspension also. Have a motion for suspension.
Motion for suspension.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll on suspension.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay. And Rox, please call the roll on the resolution.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, that has passed under first read, under suspension. Okay, moving on to item I. Second reads, resolution number 038-19, a resolution adopting 2020 tax budget for the city of Napoleon, Ohio as required in sections 5705.28 and 57705.281 of the Ohio Revised Code, ORC, and directing the finance director to file the same with the county auditor and declaring an emergency. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Ken?
Thank you. It's second read of our annual tax budget that we're required to file prior to July 20th with the county auditor for our 2.9 inside millage that we have. Not much changes from year to year on that, depending on a slight either increase or decrease of our valuation. But as far as that goes, it's fine for the three reads in order to be sufficient timing to get that to the filed by the July 20th deadline.
Great. Okay. Anyone have anything else to add or have any questions? Hearing none, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Justine?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, that will be moving on to a third read next meeting. Item J, third reads of ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance number 034-19, an ordinance amending section 143.01 of the City of Napoleon's codified ordinances, composition and control of the city fire and rescue department, and repealing ordinance number 012-11. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Joel?
Thank you, Council President. The next two pieces of legislation, these are third reads, basically create and establish the positions of EMS instructor and adjunct fire instructor. It also increases the maximum staff from 50 to 70 to allow us to have enough cushion to have these positions added. Now, these positions would again only be used when called upon as needed, and they would be used solely for the purpose of being an instructor for use of the fire training facility. I don't really have anything else to add than that, so you have any questions?
The increase does not, personnel does not increase how many officers, fire department officers we're going to have on duty. It just increases the pool that can slot in for that time.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, that is correct.
And basically, the cost, as we've discussed before, is covered by the fee that the people pay for the training.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments? Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, that has passed on third read. Moving on to item J2, ordinance number 035-19, an ordinance creating the non-bargaining positions of adjunct EMS instructor and adjunct fire instructor for the fire department of the city of Napoleon, Ohio, and amending ordinance number 075-18 and declaring an emergency. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Again, the only thing that I have to add to this one is that you can see on the screen the adjunct EMS instructor and adjunct fire instructor positions are added to this ordinance and establish a pay rate for them. That's it.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, that is passed on third read. Moving on to J3, resolution number 036-19, a resolution authorizing the City of Napoleon to execute a loan agreement with the Henry County Commissioners for funds to purchase the city share of the countywide communication system and declaring an emergency. Okay, so, a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, Joel?
Thank you, Council President. This is the third and final read of the loan from the Henry County Commissioners that will help us fund the remaining balance of what's needed for the countywide the new radio system. It's 10 years, 0% interest. That's $60,554.68. And a copy of the loan agreement was provided, but it's pretty simple. So,
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, and that has passed on third read. Moving on to item K. K1, discussion or action on recommendation to approve the PSCAF for June 2019 as PSCA 3-month average factor 0.02051 and JV2 0.025436. Have anything to add to that, Joel?
I'm sorry.
Is that up a little bit, Joe?
Pardon?
Is that up from last month?
It is, yeah, it is. And it bounces, I mean, it's going to bounce up and down, but I think we're settling into the range of where, since the hydro plants came online and the debt service came online, essentially, we're about where we're going to need to be. In terms of future cost of service studies, we could wait on that, or proceed forward, but I would say we'd probably want to wait on that a little bit, and then. But since that event, usually a big significant event like that, like debt service like this coming online, you'd want to do another cost of service study to kind of get back into balance. But right now, it seems like it's settling in at this range, the 0.017 to 0.02.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Can we have a motion to approve this, please?
Motion.
Second?
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Jeff Bell?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff C?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, that's been approved. Item K2, discussion action on recommendation to approve option 2 short-term financing for the new pool.
You want me to, or do you want to?
I can
Okay.
go. Last meeting, I had given a couple options that we could utilize for the short-term portion of the financing of the pool. It was referred to the electric committee. I presented both options with putting the numbers together, and option 1 was basically to issue a 1-year note. As of June 4th, the current rate of that note is about 1.7%. There's some fees associated with issuing that note and selling that note. And then with the interest, we were looking at a total cost of about $20,996 for that option. Those notes are not basically prepayable, so we would be required to pay the interest, even though when we were able to secure the long-term financing portion of that, we would have the ability then to pay that note off, but we still would need to pay the full 12 months of interest on that. The other option was to do a borrowing from the Electric Development Fund, and with that, the fees and then the estimated interest that we could pay that fund back through that came to about $7,956 of a cost. So potential savings there of about $13,040. And at that point in time, my recommendation would be to utilize that option and to take those steps that we need to do in order to utilize that loan option from ourselves, basically, on that, along with paying back the interest also.
Thanks, sorry to chime in, but just to add to that, the cost that we said about $500,000 is what we need. That's based on the estimates. That's for demolition of the pool and design. One of the lessons learned from Tony Cotter's visit to Waseon was that we talked with the director and their superintendent, and they both said, they didn't think their levy was going to pass, and to their surprise, it passed pretty handily without much of a campaign or anything. And it kind of put them in a tough position because they weren't really ready for it and prepared, and the project kind of caught up with them a little bit because these things right after the passage of this levy, at least from that conversation, we were prepared. So it seems like things are moving in pretty quick order here, and there's a reason, there's a method, and it's because to meet the timing of the schedule of when we plan to design and construct. We have to move these things forward pretty quickly in order to, so we don't get caught in the same position that they were in. I think the position that they were in was that they got behind, they kind of tried to rush things along, and they wound up going over budget on their project. So to avoid that, this is the recommended from the committee way to go for short-term financing, and we're just kind of following the steps that were, this was pre-thought out in advance because of the, again, the lessons learned from what happened in Waseon's project.
And the only reason we didn't do this is because we're going to start the demolition in the fall this year, and we won't start receiving the funds from the taxes until sometime next year.
March.
It'll be in
March next year.
Yeah,
Okay.
starting in March, so.
And it, you know, it looked
By
at.
that time, we gotta have demolition done and have the design done and bid and contract awarded.
Right.
So that the contractor can start gearing up and
And
moving this along.
to me, in my opinion, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to go ahead and issue the long-term financing now and have that money just sitting there, paying interest on that amount. And if we can find a way to do the short-term and then pay that back, and then hopefully, you know, we'll also be paying interest back to that fund also.
Right.
We will be, I know there was a concern on tracking time of all of us and being able to charge that back, and we have had discussions on that also for everyone that's working on that project.
Yep.
One of the things we're going to have to consider on timing as well is we're going to have to, if we do it from the electric fund, we're going to have to run this by the state tax commissioner
Correct.
and the common police court here. So I can't obviously vouch for either of them and their quickness or responsiveness to our needs, but we will get things moving on our end as well.
Anybody else have any questions or comments regarding this? So what you need today? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, this just seems Kent like the best option to keep it on the track that the community was expecting it to be on,
Right.
and the
That's-
least amount of cost also.
That's right.
So,
Yeah. The savings, I think Kent spelled it out at the committee meeting, was somewhere in the $13,000 range to the city,
Correct.
with interest being paid back to the electric department, so.
And what you're looking for today is,
So legislation will be necessary. If you wanted to make it direct law director to draft legislation approving option 2, or if you were to word it that way somehow, that's fine, that'll work.
you just did, I think.
so move. Second.
Get all that, Roxanne? Please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes?
Dan?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for looking out for the city and saving money. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on to item J3, discussion or action regarding NORA rules for Friday, June 28th, 2019, Ribfest.
Okay, I wasn't here for the committee meeting, but I have an understanding Billy was there, Chief Mack was there, Joel Miller was there, and Councilwoman Sinclair chaired the committee, but this came about as a recommendation to suspend the rules for the NORA during Ribfest. And the reason is that the Chamber of Commerce pulls an F permit for the event. And Joel, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to this or add to the conversation, or Councilwoman Sinclair, if you wanted to add anything.
Need me to sign in?
If you could stand at the microphone because of the...
I'm afraid of microphones.
How was your name again?
Joel Miller. I'm afraid of...
Stand like this first?
Yes. I had to wait for Dave to call me. The thing I'm afraid of is that, as Joel said, we pull that special permit for the day, which is right outside of 3 of the NORA permit holders. And I'm afraid on our end that if one of my volunteers turns to take care of something, talking to someone, you know, dealing with somebody on the side there, and somebody walks out with the NORA cup into our, you know, cordoned off area, then that risks our liquor permit, risks the liquor permit of the establishment that has somebody walking out.
Or vice versa. Yeah, it
right,
goes both
either
ways.
way.
Mhm.
And so that's my main concern with it overall, and really the other events that we had, because as we do this is the main reason we love the NORA as a whole, really, and why Joel worked so hard on it, was to enhance the different events. But this one's different with us pulling a permit instead of concert at the Pocket Park or Rodders, car shows, things like that, where that's encouraged, and we hope you do it. Witch's Brew, you know, those different ones where it's encouraged to use the NORA. With us pulling a permit, it risks both both entities and their liquor license. So that was the fear on that one anyway. And so if we sent in requests to close it just for the one day. I was talking with Joel and Amanda too. I've been able to be in at 4 of the 6 locations and talk to their owners and explain our end of it, get any kind of feedback. And I said, hey, tell me, good, bad, indifferent, what you think of it. And so far the ones that I've talked to have been really in support of it and think it's a good idea for them as well as us. So I've got a couple more of those to do, and I told Joel I'd get any kind of feedback to him as we could. But that's the goal of this, is to keep us from risking anything that doesn't have to be risked.
Okay, thank you. After hearing this and reading about it, I was thinking about it a little bit, and I see your concern, and I would recommend that we suspend the NORA within the confines of the Ribfest itself. That way we're not affecting the other establishments that are still within the NORA district, so they can still do that. I know that doesn't help you as much with the regulating, because that means somebody from one of those other places, not the 3 that are right there.
I have many more people at the gates. That would be much less of a concern for me, because I probably have at least 3 or 4 people at the gates themselves. Good. Rather than at those entrances somewhere. We don't want it to appear to those, establishments that are right on our footprint that they can't come and go, because they can. So I usually only have 1 or 2 people at there to make it so they can go back and forth with it. But at the gates I have 3, maybe 5 people there, so it wouldn't be as much of a concern if you guys did recommend that.
And your permit covers like the 4-block area of the Ribfest?
Yeah, it's the 2 blocks of Perry and the 2 blocks of Washington that covers.
Okay.
That would be up to you guys, but, again, it's whatever you decide to do, and we will make the best of whatever's decided by the council tonight.
If I'm not mistaken, the Ribfest is probably one of the biggest days, if not the biggest day of the year, for the establishments that are within the
It is.
NORA district.
It's a mutual benefit to Spangler's and Flat Rock and Eddie J's and the Elks and Eagles outside of it. It's one of their biggest days of the year. So, either way, those consumers are going to be served.
Yeah. But outside of it, I don't know how it is outside of that permit area too. That's obviously different. Yeah.
I think the committee felt that that the Ribfest takes up most of the NORA district as it is, and that maybe it was just simpler to suspend the whole thing just for that one day, and probably have to amend our rules, just that that will be the case.
And if I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Billy, if that was the case, you wouldn't have to take action on the suspension.
So there's no procedure required by the state. And let me just spit this out real fast. These permits can coexist, so there's no legal necessity for the city to suspend the NORA rules. That's the legalities of it, the practicality of it. Would they coexist well? You guys think about that. That's not for me. But so we're not required to do so. You can do so, and the state does not require any special procedure. I would simply ask for a motion to the effect that council desires.
Yeah, and my statement to that is that our F permit would supersede that particular footprint.
Right.
So they wouldn't be able to come in. So really, if that was the direction, you wouldn't have to take any action truly at all. We just have to be on our toes.
Right.
Much more than we would have to be anyway.
I know the committee thought I'd make it really easy, just no NORA the 28th of June, start again the 29th. Everybody same.
What are the hours of Ribfest? Is it till 11?
11, yes.
So it starts at...
Chief Mack helps us out to
clear it out?
Right. So 11 o'clock, we're done. And we stop selling beer at 10:30.
Is it noon till 11?
Our permit is from...
3 o'clock, wasn't it?
It's 3 o'clock, I believe, yeah. 3 until midnight.
Okay.
So But once those fences are down and there's no cordoned off area anymore, that ends. So yeah, it would just be for that
That time.
Yeah. For us anyway.
You're right, right.
Alright. So if someone wants to make a motion, or
But is it for the full, suspending the entire NORA district? for
Guess
that
whoever
day?
makes the
Or is
motion
it-
could-
Right.
could,
That's true, all right, yeah, that's
specify, I
right,
don't
that's
know.
right, yeah, that's right.
Okay. I make a motion that we follow the recommendation of the committee and suspend the NORA rules for Friday, June 28th, 2019 for the Rib Fest.
Is that enough? I'll second that.
okay. Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
No.
Jeff?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
All right.
And I think too, just as a follow-up, I'll meet with Joel afterwards, just to give a after report to see how that worked, because there may be others beyond us in the future that want to use this, and whatever we can do to, sync that up and make it better if we need to, we'll definitely do that, so.
Yeah.
Thanks,
The only, I guess from an operational standpoint, Chief, we'll have to just make sure that, and I'm thinking of the winery Elks and Eagles. Just making sure that people aren't using the NORA on that day.
Well, and the discussion that's been had with everybody is they just wouldn't sell the cups that day. So there wouldn't be the availability.
Okay.
If that was the will of the council that, that we do that, then the groups will agree not to sell the cups even. So there wouldn't be an enforcement issue on their end.
It'll be a
Unless
communication
something slipped
piece on all of our end.
Correct.
To make sure that.
And I've
it's a little
spoken with.
one extra step that we're gonna
Right.
have to just make sure that that's.
Right. I've spoken
crystal
with
clear.
the three that were in, so Spanglers and Flat Rock and Eddie J's, and I spoke with the Elks. Those are the four that I've spoken with so far, so I've got to get with Lumberyard and Eagles yet.
Yeah.
On those, so, that are outside, but, the Elks is the one outside that, they didn't want the hassle. They
right.
were like, we don't want to sell them that day, so. They didn't sell them during their recent rally either, because they were afraid of that. So they said they understood. The other places still, and so they did have people come up during it with NORA cups from other locations that thought they could take them in, and that would be okay. And obviously their gate people, informed them they were ready for it. Informed them, no, you can't take it into another permit. Just like you couldn't walk it into Spangler's on a regular day if you got it at Eddie J's.
Right.
So, it was just an education piece more than anything, I guess. Thank you.
We need to thank Joel Miller on the sideline with Henry County Planning Position.
Back to you, David.
Okay, moving on to item K4, discussion or action on recommendation to approve the Eagle Scout project for Alex Burkle. Joel?
Thank you, Council President. Again, wasn't here for the committee meeting, but there was a discussion I had with one of the parents of the Eagle Scout. They'd like to replace the sign that is located off of Glenwood Avenue as you're coming down
Crossing 24,
eastbound.
coming into town.
Coming into town on 24 eastbound. If you look off to the right, there's a sign. It just says Napoleon. It has all the service organization signs underneath that. This is the same family's brother. This Eagle Scout's brother did the Henry County Airport sign. So it's real nice, large, good-looking sign. They have a concept that they have. Did they present that at the
It was in
meeting?
our packet, yes.
And it's pretty elaborate. It's pretty big, noticeable. Be a nice upgrade to the sign that's there now. So I don't know if you have anything else to add to it, but
It's just nice to have him visit, and nice that he thought it out and has the plan, and I was supportive of it.
He'd like to do some scouting out in the area, and he noticed that area is electric. The Glenwood substation sits right there, so he may be contacting Denny Clapp to get in and just to look around, see what the sign is currently on right now, the concrete there, if they can use it, how deep and all that kind of stuff. So he's got 3 years to get it done before he has to have it done by, I think, time he turns 18. So he's starting to get this approval, and then they'll start doing fundraising and continue the project. So
It's long term.
longer term, yeah. It'll be a nice addition.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good project.
Somebody want to make a recommendation? Or a motion, sorry.
I can't, you're looking at me and I can't.
Look, I'm-
Sorry.
Why not?
I'll make a motion to approve the Eagle Scout project for Alex Burkholm.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeffy?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
All right, that has been approved. And moving on to item K5, American Road and Oakwood Avenue Improvements Project.
Thank you, Council President. Okay, so in your packet, there's a memo. But essentially, Chad and I have been meeting with the Regional Growth Partnership and representative from Ohio Jobs and Commerce through ODOT, and Dennis Miller from Maumee Valley Planning Organization. And we've been putting together a project for American Road. In light of the project that the Love's, not just the Love's gas truck stop that's anticipated for the corner of American Road and Industrial. There's another development, Jade Shank, which everybody's aware of, that's occurring right now. Because of these projects, we're able to leverage funds from these organizations. So right now we've been awarded $150,000 from Ohio Jobs and Commerce and $250,000 from the RGP's, Jobs Ohio's 629 road program. For a total of $350,000. We also have the TID grant application in. The award occurs in July, so that's a total of $650,000 for a portion of the project. In addition to that, in working with Maumee Valley Planning Organization and Love's, there's an application submitted right now to HUD for road funds. And also, there's going to be a private contribution from Love's to help fund a substantial portion of the road project, upwards of totaling from what the estimate that we have in hand right now is $900,000. So in addition to that, so the $900,000 would start at the intersection of Industrial Drive and go the full length of the Love's property, so where the cursor is to the intersection, roughly. The remaining portion, the TID grant, we would use for engineering design, and the other funds would use for construction. So that leaves a remainder of roughly $1.3 to $1.5 million in total of a $3 million project. And what we're proposing right now is that we establish a tax increment financing district, so TIF district, to help fund the remaining balance. So to explain that further, and since Maumee Valley Planning Organization is taking the lead on this, I'd like to have council refer this item to committee. So essentially the fund, the $650,000 would go towards this intersection, Oakwood and American, down to the intersection of Oakwood and Freedom Drive. That's the total length. If you drive American Road, I'd actually drive it frequently, at least once a week. So it's the amount of truck traffic that it gets is, from Custom Ag, from Shank's other property, businesses, and some of the other businesses in that area, it gets a lot, and that road is definitely not built for that type of traffic, so it's definitely in need of repair right now, regardless. So it's a good, it's a good timing of this project. And tax increment financing is a good tool. I know that Deschler just approved of a TIF project recently. It's a good tool to use. We've never used it here before, but timing's everything. It's a good time to utilize this, and it's a good fit for it too. So I'd recommend that it go to the Municipal Properties Committee to be referred out. If that's all right with the chair and the mayor and or council president.
Sounds good to me.
At that meeting, I'll plan on see if Dennis Miller can make it, and then we'll go from there.
Just one curiosity question. I think I know the answer, but the county's none of this roadway is in the county, right? It's
Correct.
all city.
Correct. Actually, here, this is another phase of this would have to include the county, but I've received from both Shank and from Custom Ag that this section of Road R is in need of repairs as well, or upgrades, whatever it is that they need for their truck traffic. So I don't know if that's something, and this is, I would say half in, half out. So, some portions of the road are in the city limits, and then this section is all in the city limits. Half of the road is in the city limits here, and then I think it's all county from then on. So that would definitely take some coordination with the county to do that, if that's something we want to do in the future. But for right now, first things first, we've got the pieces are starting to come together on this project. We've been awarded $650,000 as of right now, or I'm sorry, $350,000. Sorry, let me get my numbers. $400,000. $250,000. Where there's no guarantee on that, but that's a piece of the puzzle. The application's looking promising. And the Loves section is still unofficial, but they're working very diligently on making this development a reality. So there's additional work to this to the whole Loves development. The original estimate was $3 million, and that $900,000 was to cover that portion in front of Loves. That could grow based on some of the recommendations from their engineering consultant that did a traffic study and is recommending some changes in that intersection and in front of their proposed development. So their portion could grow, but just know that the numbers I'm speaking of right now are based off of the estimate that was provided in-house, based on existing. So I don't think we've gotten anything back from Loves yet on the design of their road. So I know we have building plans right now, so that's official, but we're still going through the process.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, move on to item K6, agreement with the schools for the Claremont Avenue project.
All right. So we've discussed this previously. The Claremont Avenue project, the history, I think everybody knows the history of that. In the past, there's been some disagreements on who's responsible. We received a letter from the schools. We responded back. The school stated, well, it's a city's responsibility. And we responded back, well, the schools technically own the property, so it's a school responsibility. You have to, there was this back and forth. Eventually, we landed on a proposal or a supposal to have the schools address address Claremont Avenue, but also address the bus lot area, the stone patch in front of the elementary school, the parking along the ball fields, and putting together a grant application for the purpose of a Safe Routes to School grant, essentially, to connect some of the pieces from the schools to the rest of the community. So we put together a total package to cover everything, which kind of puts a lot of these old issues to rest. But to go through some of the different pieces of this, the responsibilities, representations of the district, which is the schools, they would commit to address the reconstruct basically the portion of Claremont Avenue that is technically owned by the schools, and then they would dedicate that to the city. That's an estimated cost of $275,000. In addition to that, they would dedicate the roadway. In terms of the Safe Routes to School grant, they would pay for a 50% portion of the consulting cost to apply for a grant application. They're also agreeing to an engineering study, have an engineering study performed, and review the recommendations and determine which options the best, most cost-effective options to take to alleviate the traffic hazards and improve safety. This is specifically for the transportation lot and the what we call the stone patch. It also addresses the softball field parking, in which they will develop a plan and work with the police department to help alleviate some of the illegal parking that occurs on a regular basis in that area. So with that said, that's on the school side. On our side, as we stated once before, we'll provide the inspection services for the Claremont Avenue project. That is a little bit of a savings to the schools, but it's also a benefit to us because we have our own people on site kind of monitoring, watching the project. We'll accept the dedication of the roadway. We will also, in this scenario, provide 50% of the consulting costs for pedestrian improvements for a grant application. And then in the end, we'll compensate the schools $50,000 up for a total of $150,000. $50,000 a year, first starting in 2020, 2021, then 2022. The final payment would be made after City Council reviews progress of these items that the school is committing to above. So those are the essentially the terms and conditions of the agreement. Everything else in here is Billy speak, so I don't know if you want to add anything to this. Or...
No, I think you did a good job.
Other than that, things seem to be proceeding forward with this. I think this is going to be on the agenda for the next school board meeting, which is June 26th. I guess at this point, if there's any questions, comments, or anything, take some time to take a look over this, think about it. But at this point, I think it would be appropriate to move forward if everybody's okay with it, to direct the law director to draft legislation for us to be able to enter into this agreement.
Yes, sir.
I like this because this shows the community that the city and the school are working together. And that sometimes is nice to show in a very public way, that although we've had disagreements in the past, we are trying to work together going forward. The question I have is if you move up just a little bit more about section 4, engineering study recommendation. Determine which option provides the best and most cost-effective solution. One of the solutions is going to be do nothing. Right? That's always an option. Do nothing. I don't think that's our intent, is to leave it as is.
Yeah,
But that's going to be one of the options. So what is the mechanism for if we disagree with what's best and most cost-effective versus the school board?
the expectation is that the recommendations, so when the recommendations are being reviewed,
Right,
determine which options are the best
right.
to alleviate and
But
improve
if
safety.
our idea
Take
of
the-
best and most cost-effective is different than their most best and cost-effective,
True. If there's a disagreement.
how is that, how is that difference resolved?
Well, I guess one way is the final payment.
Well,
Yeah,
right,
no.
well, see, but
No, we wanna
now
get to
we're
a
creating a
resolution.
negative, now we're potentially creating a negative headline.
That's right.
And we don't want to do that.
The expectation is that they're going to take action. The action of the recommendations from the engineering study.
Right, but
It's
one
not
of
a
those
study that they're
options
going to
is
do,
going
we
to be,
fulfilled our obligation.
but one of their options is going to be do nothing, right?
It's always an option. That's
And
correct.
I mean, the road itself is not currently in compliance with our standards. I don't think doing nothing is an option.
But this is needed for the potential traffic stuff. This isn't the,
This
this
is
isn't the road,
this
this
is
is the
bus
traffic
lot.
study.
Sure,
This is bus lot, traffic, and those kinds of things.
yeah. I mean,
So I agree.
Given the
that-
issues,
I
I
think
mean, I
the
think-
road's gonna get repaid. I'm just worried about the mechanism, if we disagree of what's best and most cost effective. And maybe we
good
won't,
point.
maybe we won't disagree. I hope we don't disagree. But if there's disagreement, how does that get resolved?
I mean, so I mean, the city controls the roads within the city.
Right?
So when there's an issue, we can look at this traffic study, and hopefully, obviously, it would work out that we would agree on something to
Right.
some degree.
That's
but
what we all hope for.
If we're
Right.
not, if we don't, the city controls a number of these things that need to take place as far as the transportation department, where that's located. The way in which they are currently crossing buses across, is it Westmoreland, I think is the name of that road? The way in which they vehicles are parked for sporting events. And
Right.
all of these things, the reason they continue, we've not, in an effort to be conciliatory, in an effort not to have giant headlines that say the city is attacking the schools.
Right.
We've withheld from taking certain enforcement action that we certainly could.
Right.
I think that is the hammer that you're looking for. If nothing is resolved as a result of this engineering study, then I think at that point our hands are somewhat tied. We would have to move forward in enforcement to keep them from using the school, the crosswalk, the button to let the buses cross
Right.
across the street.
Right, I'm just trying to.
That's a great question, though.
I'm trying to,
I mean, within the agreement itself,
Not-
is there some enforcement mechanism to make them agree?
no,
on the
I'm
way in
not,
which-
but is there or is there a dispute resolution?
There is not a
program?
dispute resolution
Okay.
section in there, no.
Okay.
And I guess if we get to that point,
And I don't think we're gonna need it.
Yes.
But if we do, this is the time to talk about it.
These are the recommendations from the traffic study. Are we able to do the project ourselves and then assess them? I mean, that could be,
And there's all kinds of
option
ways,
too.
I just, would
we
be,
do,
we're agreeing on this together now.
again, it's,
It would
like
just
you
be
said,
kinda nice to have the dispute resolution mechanism,
in place ahead of time.
some kind of in this, and some kind of outline draft format, so like, okay, we agreed to do this.
This-
Third-party arbiter, we dropped the hammer, I don't know what it is, I just
So-
trying to prevent negative headlines,
Because it could, yeah, absolutely.
right?
I mean, there's only so much you can do.
Get
Well-
on a,
Is that in that direction. Sometimes you have to act. So,
I understand that, but I've been through that before too.
Sure.
Yes, we have.
I guess my thought would be on that is the way it's presented now is, like Joel said, it's collaborative, there's their ideas, our ideas, working together.
Right.
I'm thinking if we add that other section in, it's basically saying, well, if you don't agree with what we want, we're gonna tell you, we're gonna impose this on you.
Well,
I don't think, I mean, right there, that kind of
I think
puts
a
negative spin
dispute
on it.
resolution clause in there that it can be drafted pretty neutrally, just to say that if we don't agree on this particular or that particular, that we could potentially go to some sort of mediation. I'm just throwing
Something like that would just be nice, just as a fallback, that we all agree to, if we can't come to an agreement after so long, that we can go to, mediation.
I mean, obviously, that's going to need to be discussed with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
But this is a draft, and this is why you have these conversations ahead of time, but
Bingo.
again, I like that the city and the school are working together. Let me stress that. I like that. I like that we've come to this agreement. I'm just trying to make sure as school boards change between now and 2022, and council people change between now and 2022, that future ones, well, I didn't agree to that, I don't have to do that. Okay, but, okay,
That's,
so,
we wind up back in the same position we were in at the start.
right.
Yeah.
Let's just not repeat that problem.
Yeah.
Please.
I understand. I think there's a want on the school board's end and the administration's end to have a resolution on this too.
Right.
It doesn't hurt to broach the question with them, maybe even drafting up a dispute resolution or adding language in this section to say, perform the recommendations of, and I will tell you just for this sentence, that one sentence was softened as a part of the back and forth
Okay,
between it's a good observation though, because the language was softened a little bit because it was take the recommendation of the engineering study. But it was, well, wait a minute, what if the city and the schools don't like the engineering study's recommendations?
Right.
What if there's a different way or a better way, or one side agrees and the other side doesn't?
Yeah.
Multiple. So that's why that was added in there, that way that we would review it and then pick the best option. The intent is that we as a collectively between the schools and the city pick the best option, and the schools act on that option.
Okay.
But it doesn't specifically say that.
Right. Right.
Doesn't hurt to take it back to them.
Why don't we talk to them about a potential dispute resolution clause?
Because if I'm them, I want it too.
Sure.
Right? If we like option A and the city likes option B, wait a second, which one are we going to go with? So, it's trying to protect both sides.
Sure.
So what are you looking for tonight?
Still, if it's okay to still move forward with directing the law director to draft legislation with the understanding that section 4 of Article 3 will be reviewed.
Okay. And even if you bring it, the legislation, then obviously we have 3 reads and we
Sure.
can
Yeah.
We'll have
make
further
amendments then
opportunity to
and make
review.
some changes if needed.
Yep.
All right. Someone like to make a motion? I'm looking at Billy.
Still.
Still can't do it?
So moved. Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to item K7, update on IT projects. And I'm going to set the timer because I talked to Dustin the other day. He said he had like an hour and a half stuff for us. You have 5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
Good evening, Council. I'd like to address the state of IT. As you know, we've been installing phones. Currently, the phones have been deployed everywhere. We are live with the fire department, water department, wastewater, golf, pool, and the muni court. We're still porting operations, PD, and administration. Justin has been a great help in setting up the phones and getting the network ready. As you know, it's not just phones, it's the core network. We're redesigning everything. We're redesigning, reconfiguring, network shaping, everything to do the new phones. So it's been a big change having someone here when I'm not, or if I'm out, and having him back me up. Even though it's only been 9 months, he's grown leaps and bounds when it comes to understanding the city and what we have and what we're doing. So thank you, Justin.
You must have a good teacher.
Yeah, I hope so. With Justin, configuring the phones and helping me, we've saved a lot of money, upwards of $35,000 from when those bids came in for the phones. We've been doing all the work ourselves. Greenline helps us when we need help, but we're learning these phones as we go. So moving forward, we're going to have a lot of knowledge of how they work and rely less on the phone company and more on ourselves to install them and upgrade them in the future. So I think it's a big plus for us. What else we got? We've also begun migrating our servers over to a bigger, better server. That was originally slated for the end of this year, but our current domain controller is giving us a little fit now and then, and so that's the thing that basically controls all the computers and everything and how you guys talk to it. And so we've begun doing that on top of doing the phones, on top of doing the network shaping. So we've been kind of busy, along with everything else that the city has been giving us. So we're busy. So, and after we get the servers done and the phones, we'd like to begin working on the website, getting that upgraded, make it more appealing, professional, and user-friendly, honestly. And that concludes the state of IT. Any questions?
I'm going to add in something here while you're thinking about questions, but the network end of it, if you remember, we hired an individual before Justin, and he lasted about 2 to 3 weeks, and he came back to the IT committee and talked about, what a mess the back end of our network was. And this is not an easy task. Somebody who's a network person ran away from that project and ran away from here to go back to his old job. Now he got a pay raise and went back to his old job too, so good for him. But I mean, it's kind of a testament to you and Justin, because you've been able to do it yourself, reconfigure that network, and actually have a diagram of it now, so everybody knows where it's going. Yeah. Everybody knows where everything's going.
We're documenting things now.
Yeah, it's documented.
Something that wasn't done before. So I have diagrams of all the departments we've done. In fact, wastewater recently asked for my diagrams, and I sent them to them. So we're making great strides in that as well. So thank you for bringing that up.
And future improvements in buildings and things, and reconfiguring things. That's a key element to. You're the backbone of the operation, the nervous system of the operation is IT, so it's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Don't want to discount that. I mean, it's a phone project. You think, well, just take the old phones out and plug new ones in. The phones don't work the same anymore, and you're into this for about 4 months now.
Yes, we got them delivered in February, so it's been about 4 months. And another thing to add, we can't just say, okay, new phones go live. We have to port them from CenturyLink. So the port takes 3 to 4 weeks for them to say, okay, we start now, and then in 4 weeks, the port will go through, and then our new phone system through Greenline will be active. Typically, we were trying to consolidate. So we do like one port and then start a port another week later. Well, we tried that, and then we had one port go live randomly, and we were not ready at all. And CenturyLink doesn't care because we're losing their services. So we stopped doing that. So now we only do, after the 3 weeks, make sure it goes live, everything's good, move on to the next department. So we got about 2 months left, I would imagine, for PD ops in here. So
that's probably good to explain that, because if I'm in a department that didn't get it yet, I think, well, why does it take so long? Like, theirs done 2 weeks ago, why can't, but that's good
The
information.
the beauty of it, though, is everyone is using their phones, regardless of them being live. So operations and here, all the phones are here. So people are calling the phones from here internally, routing, using them all, but they just can't call out yet, the last 3. So everyone's been using their phones. They're all getting used to them. We've been doing training in each department. That way they know what to do. Does it work? Not really. Everyone still has questions later on, but we'll get there. So,
Great job.
thank you.
With all that, you still have time to help, people that have get new cell phones and,
Yes.
reset their passwords and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I heard you help people.
Yeah.
Or friend.
Certain people.
Friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friend.
Travis isn't here. It was Travis.
A lot of ID 10T errors.
Yes.
out
Right.
there.
Yep.
Anybody have any other questions or comments? Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to item J8, discussion on golf carts.
Well, I think this came about from Councilman Myers. You mentioned this, that somebody got a plate for a golf cart.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, a Napoleon resident came and got a license plate for a golf cart. And I wasn't even aware that golf carts were allowed on the city streets. As far as I knew, I think Deschler allows golf carts, I believe, Kent, right, on their...
Anything goes in Deschler.
So before giving him a license plate, I contacted the chief, and he did say, was it 2017, you said that they state passed an ordinance, is that right?
Yes, sir.
You want to just go over something on that, or just, is that it?
Coming up to them. And by the way, just for reference,
State passed an ordinance on North Western City streets.
since Councilman Bear will be out next week, and I don't think there's an urgency on this, unless otherwise, can we refer this to the committee for July? And we can have a little discussion now, but I think it'd be warranted for us to do a little more homework and have more understanding of, put a little more thought into, one, what the law says, and two, what, if any action council or you would want to take.
Chief Mack and Chad have done quite a bit of research already. So.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you to Chief Mack and Billy and Tammy for their work on this. Go ahead, Chief.
So, in short, back in 2017, the law did change and it allowed some slow speed motor vehicles on the roadway. And the ones we're talking about are obviously golf carts. They still have to go through an inspection process. They still have to have certain things, safety features, involved with them. Most sheriff's offices are the ones doing the inspections. From what my knowledge is, I know our sheriff's office has done them in the past. So I looked at Ottawa County, earlier today, and they've got it up on their website as well. So the issue being what roads, 35, 25, that type of thing. Just because the state law allows for something does not mean that we couldn't put different restrictions on it.
Sure.
From a home rule standpoint.
And the statute is 4511.214.214. Section C states explicitly that we retain authority to do as we see fit with these. So if we want to allow these low speed, under speed, utility type vehicles on the roads, then doing nothing would, I think, suffice to at least allow it in the short term. I think our ordinances would still need to be updated to reflect some of these new realities, but I guess long story short, we can and probably should decide how we want to treat these vehicles. If we want to further regulate from what's in the statute, if we want to completely ban, it's something that we need to address. And I think given Chief's and Chad's research into exactly where a lot of these roads are and how we might, and the research into how we might treat these going forward, it would be a good idea to put this into a committee, have a discussion, maybe two, on how council would like to move forward and go from there. We will need to update, in my opinion, our ordinances regardless of what's decided. So.
Sounds good.
Good.
We'll send it to,
You got anything else?
No, I think
Safety
that's
Committee.
something. I mean,
Any other topics you just want
Yeah.
to?
The rest of it's committee-wise, as far as discussion and stuff, I think, there are some concerns there. There are different ideas and some different impacts in the different neighborhoods that I think the committee would want to look into.
Might be a good idea for us to find a similarly sized municipality who did one way or the other and talk to them as well.
Joel and I talked about that today, and trying to find some crash statistics and that type of thing from the state, that we haven't had time to really appropriately address yet.
So if the July committee, if we could do it then,
okay.
if that's okay with the
Okay.
chairman.
Mr. Chair? Got that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Okay, moving on to K-9. Accept donations to the K-9 unit. How's that coincidence?
That was cool.
Who did that?
That.
Nice job, Rob.
All right, we got a donation from the VFW for $1,000 for the K-9 unit. And that puts us at, Chief, I'm sorry, that puts us at 24.
24, 630, and 50 cents. My numbers as of right now, not including any expenditures that we've already done.
Any other new updates while you're standing up? I don't know.
Yes, sure. As far as, we made the promotion to sergeant, so the next step is the K-9 officer. We're working around, one of the officers just got back today, actually it was his first day back from FMLA, so we can move forward with those interviews in the next 2 weeks. The car should be upfitted by the 1st of August through statewide. That's already been, the equipment's already been ordered. We're just waiting for delivery. And then they'll outfit the car, so the car and the officer will be waiting for the dog then in August.
In August, yeah, that's when the next training
Yeah,
is
end of
scheduled.
August is what we're being told.
Yeah. So it's a 10-week.
10-week OSP, so over near Cleveland.
Yep.
So they just built a brand new facility out there about a year ago. Anything else?
Where's the resource officer at? When's that person come in?
Well, we shall know next week.
Yep, that's
That
on
is
the agenda.
That is one of the things, along with the Clearmount issue, that's on the school board's agenda from my understanding.
Yep, Chief and I
Joe
will be there.
in attendance there.
Thanks.
So, should that get approved, then we'll move forward with that one. But we're waiting, that's been on hold, waiting for approval from both council and the school board.
Great.
At that point, the anticipation is to hire an officer to replace that person, so that would be that time frame as well.
Thank you very much again.
You're welcome.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the donation to the K-9 unit?
So moved.
Second?
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, and K-10 is additional refuse bag. Let me just refer that to the, what was your committee?
Water.
Water.
Yep.
That one. And K-10, spring cleanup summary, also referring that to the water waste. Right. Okay, we'll go around the room here. We'll start with Kent.
In your packets, I did include a little bit different report on income tax summary. I don't know if you're able to see that. Just kind of summarizes a little bit, but at this point, 5 months into it, we are up about 2.9% at this point in time. And then also an additional report of kind of some history and kind of where we're trending as far as interest earnings was included in your packet also. And you'll see on that report that interest earnings are going up with in recent years with obviously the increase in rates and so forth. So both of those are are holding steady, and look for the interest to continue to kind of keep that uptick as of now. So we are looking at, just did a couple more investments of a little bit longer term, in hopes to lock in a better rate for that time period, so upon recommendation of our advisors.
Thank you very much for that.
I don't think
Lori?
I have anything.
Me neither.
Dan?
Just, we will not have a Safety and Human Resources meeting next week. We'll do it then in July, because I'm going where you just came from.
I saw that.
So, and I'm going to be gone for about 10 days, 12 days, so.
Beautiful.
Enjoy yourself.
And that's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
It's nice to see the boat docks are in. We'll all use it finally. Rain or no rain, we'll put those things in, which is good. So summer is finally here. Don't scare it away. Had the privilege of swearing in 3 new auxiliary officers for the Napoleon Police Department on Friday. John Schutte from WNDH gave a real big attaboy to all the city services that helped set up and tear down for Kids Fest. So electric department and Parks and Rec and all those people do a good job for that. And then last week during the Board of Zoning Appeals, the gentleman that represented Dollar General was very appreciative of the quality of service that he got from Mark Spees, and also through the conversation was very professional. It was a disagreement, but not a disrespect, and he really appreciated that because he said that's very rare in his experience. So, all good stuff. So, that's all I had. Thank you very much. Oh, I need a executive session for personnel.
Jeff?
I have nothing, thank you.
Ken?
I think the flower pots around town look real nice. They finally got all that taken care of. Looks good. And I believe the painting is all done on the sidewalks now.
Thank goodness.
And the Hope Services, the decorations on the trees, along the sidewalks.
That's
It might be a good idea to put something in the paper to let people know what that all really is. To explain it a little bit.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taryn.
I didn't want to look at him while I was saying.
Nobody ever does.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay. Billy?
So since the mayor's already ruined everybody's night, I will ask for an executive session for pending or imminent litigation.
Okay, thank you. As Chief mentioned, we did promote a sergeant. It's Justin Roofer, so if you see him around, no congratulations. We did submit the application for the Oakwood Avenue road project, small city grant, up to $2 million we can be awarded. I don't know if that's something you wanted to add to it. If awarded and accepted, the construction would start in 2023. So I don't know if that's something you want to add to the committee meeting or not on Muni Properties. I'll leave it up to you. We'll start having some peak shaving ads coming out. I don't know if, in case anybody gets questions, if you know, maybe it'd be worthwhile to have something in the packet to just kind of explain, you know, what peak shaving is and how it affects the rates. So, in case you're questioned on it, if that's something you want. I think we did something in the past. We can add something in.
You say we're going to finally get warm weather?
Oh,
there you go.
man. I hope so. We're in the season. How about that? The July 4th activities, you have something in your packet here that just kind of shows all the different activities there are for the, for 4th of July that's coming up. We won't have a council meeting, well, we will July 1st, but just gearing up for it. It's a few days of events. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I have nothing. All right, can we go, can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And can I have a motion to go into executive session for pending litigation?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I just dialed it up to 72.
Nah, I'm calling it. All right.
Okay. Could I have a motion to come out of executive session for regarding personnel?
So moved. Second.
Okay, there's no action taken in personnel, or in the executive session. However, we did receive a resignation from the finance director, Kent Seaman, effective Friday, June 28th of 2019. And
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept Kent's resignation.
What if we don't?
He's got to stay
stuck
forever.
then. There's nothing he can do. He's sitting
Wow,
there forever.
that's pretty good.
No motion.
I'll second.
We tried.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay. His resignation has been accepted. And could I have a motion to come out of executive session for pending litigation?
So moved.
Second.
Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Okay, no action taken there. Okay, moving on to item M, approval of in payment of bills and approved financial reports. Do we have any questions or objections? Hearing none, they stand approved. And have a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Rox, please call the roll.
Joe?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.